So we talked about decision making and looping. We already talked about the while loop, right? We saw an example of while loop, and I mentioned that while is an entry control loop. That is, if this condition is false, this body won't be executed at all. Okay, but there can be some cases where you need this body to be executed only once, and then you need to check the condition. So that kind of a loop is called an exit control loop. So do while is such a loop. So you see that the body is like this. So the structure is like this. So do and the body is within within the braces, and this body will be executed once. Then this condition will be checked. If this condition is true, then the body will be executed again, and it will keep on executing um, until basically while this condition is true. When this condition is false, then this the control will go out of this body. So let's take an example. Yes, let's take an example. So in do while, so you see that int a equals to 5, right? And this condition, so this is do while. Do within this body, within the semi-curl braces, there will be a body. And this body will be executed once, then this condition will be checked. So you see that this condition is false, right? A is equal to 5. A is equal to 5. But this condition is A is greater than or equal to 6, right? So this is false. So let's execute this code and see what happens. Loop executed, right? So this is printed. So loop is executed, all this condition is false. But anyway, if you, if this condition is true, then also it will run. So say, let's make it 10, right? So it will be executed. So first it is executed. Then after this execution, this condition is checked. So it is greater than or equal to 6, right? So loop is executed again, and then it is decremented to 9, 7, 6, 5, and then it basically goes out of the loop. It's like that. So why would someone like to use this particular construct, right? So there is a while there. So why this while loop? Why basically this? Do while loop be important at all? Basically, to solve a couple of problems. So last class, someone showed me a code where he wanted to build an iterative system which takes inputs from the user as long as the user basically wishes to. Okay, so the system will keep on interacting with the system. Only when the user wants to exit, then only this iteration will terminate. Okay, so this is an automatic grocery shop. Automatic grocery system. So here, if you see that there is an integer type of variable number of apples. So here number of apples available is 5, number of oranges available is 5, number of bananas available is 10. Okay, I print something like this welcome, and you see that I have written a do loop. So this is this is basically the welcome screen. So this will anyway be printed, right? Anyway should be printed, whether or not the customer wishes to proceed with purchasing, right? So it prints what do you want to buy, then it displays a current stock, that is, I mean, number of apples, number of oranges, number of bananas. Then it asks the customer to choose A for apples, O for oranges, and B for bananas, and give you a choice below. Okay. And the choice in this case is a character. So there is a problem which is prevalent in C compilers with regards to reading characters. So it may happen that it basically absorbs some of the stray characters which are left on the terminal. As I've shown you that basically scanf can behave in a weird fashion, right? So so it can take some inputs which are available for reading for the terminal, right? And I mean, before the user, I mean, basically before the user provides some input, I mean, explicitly, the scanf has already taken some input. So to prevent that, there can be several ways. I mean, there can be ways to clear the terminal, I mean, before the next reading can take place. But one, possibly the simplest way to do it is, so here I am reading %C to read the choice, right? So choice integer item 1 is a character. So this one, integer item 1 is a character. So I have another variable choice 1, which I will use later on. So I'm reading this using ampersand choice item 1. So this is the choice which should be provided for the items A, O, or B. So before %C, I give a space. So I looked up the internet. So I found this solution somewhere. I mean, it is not in any book. I think it is in Stack Exchange or somewhere like that. So it's so the convention is that if you start with a space here, it will automatically clear up the leftovers on the terminal, and it will be ready to read the character. So this won't happen if you read a particular integer. This happens mostly for characters. Okay. So here I have read this choice item, and okay, let's let me first execute the code, then I will explain the code. So if you can see this, so first it prints welcome. What do you want to buy? In stock, apples 5, oranges 5, bananas 10. So the choices can be A, capital A, mind you. So this is case sensitive. Capital A, capital O, and capital B for apples, oranges, and bananas respectively. So I go for an apple. So I print something like this: an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And you see that the stock is now updated. So the number of apples is 4 instead of 5. Oranges are 5 and bananas are 10 because I have not chosen them. Do you want to continue? If I press yes, why? So this is also case sensitive. It will continue. So it will ask the same question again. So now it will show the updated stock, 4 apples. So what do you want to buy? So let's go for oranges now. Oh, oranges are rich in vitamin C, and you see that the number of oranges has decreased from 5 to 4. Do you want to continue? Yes. Okay, let's continue because bananas are also good for health. So let's choose B for bananas. So now you see that the stock of bananas have also decreased from 10 to 9. Let's continue again, and let's try to give an invalid input. So let's write N. So it prints invalid input and the stock remains the same, right? And do you want to continue again? Maybe no, because I already have an apple, an orange, and a banana. So so I don't want to buy anything. So I press N, or you you can press anything else, but here I have asked for N. So see you again. So it prints see you again and it ends. So this is an example of an interactive system which you can write very efficiently using this switch construct. So here I am using do while and switch. So here I have taken the choice of the item here. Here, so the three cases are within quotes capital A, within quotes capital B, and within quotes capital O. Okay. And the default is this one, invalid input. So let's go to this. So if the number of apples, which so the value, this value was 5, right? If the choice is A, then I check if we have enough apples to be sold. If yes, then this basically decrements the number of apples. So if this number becomes 0, then this, this would have been printed. Same for bananas. Basically ditto for oranges. After I come out of this switch, I print this updated stock. So now the number of apples or number of oranges or number of bananas would have changed if a valid choice is given here. So this is just to separate this line from the next choice. This is a very clumsy way to do it, but anyway. Then I ask, do you want to continue? Here also you see that I have put a space so that this choice is read correctly. And since a lot of things would have been printed on the screen, like \n and all these stray characters, it's possible that they are already available on the terminal for reading, and it's possible, and it would have been possible that this scanf and this particular choice 1 would have accidentally read them. So basically, to prevent that from happening, I have put a space here. So here I am reading the answer to this question, yes or no. If it is yes, so I check it here. If choice 1 is equal to y, small y, so y in the lowercase. If it is y, then it goes back. Where does it go back? It goes back to this place. The control goes back to this line. So this is within the body of do loop, right? Then it prints again what do you want to buy, and it prints. So this will go on. So this will go on until and while this condition is true. So mind you, this whole segment of code within the curly braces of do will be executed once after this condition is checked. So if at this point of time someone says no, then it will go out, and then see you again will be printed. So I hope this program is easy enough for you to understand. So it is, there is no basically demons in this program. It is simple enough, but it is better for you to start writing this kind of programs, because I am going to there can be 3 different categories of tickets, and there will be fixed prices. So when the passenger, or sorry, when the customer is done with the ticket booking, you should print out the ticket in some way. These are the passengers, and basically this is the total price. Okay, total price which he has to pay, this much. So this will be some variation of this particular code. If you can look into this code, and if you understand this code, and if you are able to enrich this code, if you can be more inventive. So there is nothing that I am yet to teach you, or basically at the point when you are expected to submit the assignment, at that point I would have taught you in the class everything that you would need to write the assignment, but you have to use your own imagination. Technically it won't be difficult. Okay, so this is about this interactive code. So there can also be basically other interactive systems, like say a library system, where you can take a book, you can return a book, There can be multiple modes, like one can be a basically a user mode, or the other can be admin mode. In user mode, you can take a book or submit a book. In the admin mode, you can do modifications, like you basically can declare a book basically out of stock. You can add a book to the repository like that. But don't, this was about the example which I wanted to share with you. Do while, I hope do while is clear to you. Now we come to the for loop. So for loop gives you a more formal and controlled structure than while, because it contains three parts, which form the soul of the loop. These are the three components which you need to write a loop. So one is the initialization. So the control variable, the variables which are changing, right? Within the loop, basically, which are controlling the operation of the loop, they can be initialized. So that will be done. So the initialization will be done only once. So it's not that it will be done, every time the loop is executed. Condition will be checked, and for loop is an entry control loop. So the condition will be checked first, then the control will go to the body. So the body won't be executed if this condition is false. So condition, as you know, it can be a relational expression or a logical expression like this. Okay. And increment will be done after body. So after the body is executed, increment is done, and then condition it will be checked if it is still true. So to go from the beginning, first there will be an initialization, then there will be a check in the condition. If condition is true, the control will go to the body, then there will be an increment. So this can be decrement also. Okay, this can be several other things. So this is just for an example. So after this increment, then condition is checked again. If this condition remains true, then this body will be executed and there will be increment, and this will go on like this. So I hope you know the functionality of for loop well enough, since all of you have done Python programming. So this is an example. So let's take a simple example and let's try to play around with it. Four. It is, I think, the simplest for loop. Yeah. So okay. Let's do this. So here is a variable, which is a control variable, and this is, here is an initialization, and there is a check. This is true, right? So the loop will be executed. Is executed. So let's print this. Let's print the control variable. So first it checks whether it is true. So it check for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. After 10, it goes out. So what happens if I initialize it to 15? What will happen? The body of the loop is not executed. You see that, because this initialization, after this initialization, this is checked. This is false, and so the control doesn't enter the body of the loop at all. Okay, simple enough. So someone in the last class asked me, what if I put a semicolon here? So in while loop, what did we see? So we saw that in a while loop, since this increment or decrement, so the updation of the control variable is done after the body or within the body, and if you put semicolon here, the control is never entering the body, right? So that can lead to an infinite condition, depending on whether the condition is true. If the condition is false, then there is no problem. So if I do this, what happens? What is happening? Let's run it again. Okay. What if I, okay. Let's run it. So you see that so the things can be different for different cases. So here what happens is, to the best of my understanding, there is an initialization and it does not enter the body at all. Okay, it does not enter the body, so it waits here. So unlike while, this for loop, so this portion and this portion is not done. You see that A remains 15, so A is not incremented, right? A is not incremented, A remains 15 and control goes out. So this is no longer a part of the loop. This is just a line which is executed after this for loop ends. So this is basically a logical mistake. So this is not a concept. So this is not a syntax error, but this should be avoided in my opinion. Okay. So this is not why you're writing a for loop. So anyway, since someone asked this question, I just covered this. So this is a functionality of for loop. So in a for loop, you can do multiple initializations. So sorry, there will be an error here. So I should have initialized B. I should have declared B here. So if you do this, this will also work. So there can be multiple initializations. There is one condition check, and you can do multiple increments, decrements in the loop. So let me try this out. Okay, let's see. A is 1 and B is 5. I'm checking A only, but I can increment B also. B plus plus, suppose B plus plus, and I'm printing A and B. Okay. Here is getting printed. Loop executed, right? Is less than equal to 10. Yeah. So this is this is basically the control variable. The other variable is also getting incremented. 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, something like this. So check is on 10 and B is incrementing from 5, right? So if A is less than equal to 10 and I can write something like this, right? And B is less than 10, for example. Let's put this and see what happens. Okay. See, it is executed. So although this condition, the initial, so although this particular expression is true, this has become false, right? Because B is no longer less less than 10 after this point of time. So for B equal to 10, the body of the loop is not executed. So you see that there can be multiple initializations, there can be multiple checks also. There can be multiple checks. So these are things you can do with the for loop. Initialization and increment, decrement are optional. What does that mean? So let's look at this example. So A equals to 5. So I am initializing before this for loop, and I am doing this increment inside. So you have to put this particular condition here. So it has to start with semicolon and it has to end with a semicolon. So this check has to be there. This is mandatory. Okay. Before this, so since, as I told you, that initialization is done before this check, there is no problem if you put this initialization here, and this increment or decrement, whatever it is, will be done after the body is executed. So anyway, you can put it here at the end of this particular loop. Sorry, at at this particular point. So at the end of the body, this you can also do, but why do you want to do that? since for loop will give you, has given this wonderful functionality of taking care of all the three components which are required to control a loop, you should use it. Okay, so let's look at a nested for loop in C. So this is like this. You are doing, so in I and j are two control variables. So this loop runs from I equal to 1 to I less than equal to 3. So I is incremented within this for loop. So this is the scope of this particular for loop. So within this for loop I have another for loop j equals to 1, j less than equals to 2, j equal to j plus 1, and I'm printing the values of I and j. So you see that for each value of I, this whole of this for loop j will be executed, right? So for I equal to 1, we have j equal to 1. For I equal to 1, we have j equal to 2. So j will run from 1 to 2. Then for I equal to 2, we have j equal to 1 and j equal to 2. For I equal to 3, we have j equal to 1 and j equal to 2. Okay. So I hope it is already clear to you. So I want to print a particular pattern. What is the pattern? 1, 1, 2 and 1, 2, 3. So how can I do that? So since the number of rows is 3, and you see that there is a dependence on of j of this inner loop on I. So we can make it like this. Say I from j equal to 1, j less than equal to I, because for I equal to 1, it will be 1. So it will run only once, and we can print the value of j here. For I equal to 2, it will run twice. So j will be first 1 and then 2. So make sure you put basically a new line here. And similarly for I equal to 3, you can print I 1, 2 and 3. Okay. So can you write this particular code on your own in C? So what I want to print is like this. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, but not for 3 lines. I want it for n, where n can be any number. So please have a look at this code. Okay, and please write a code which will do this for variable number of times. So basically n will be the number of lines. So here the number of lines is 3, right? So I want that to be variable. So what changes do I need to do in the code?